This is Arcadia Creek. Arcadia Creek is like a whole bunch of creeks in the United States, across the country. It's cities that decided they didn't want a creek going through their cities, so they sent it underground. This, to me, is a really cool story.
There's a hole.
Arcadia comes from the Greek word meaning idyllic rural place. And for sure, Arcadia was an idyllic rural stream. But over the next century, it changes and it gets hidden. And then pretty soon, Arcadia comes to the campus of Western Michigan University.
So Chuck and I met at Western Michigan University. We dated here.
Well, I wouldn't call it dated, really. I mean, it wasn't until we left Western that I said, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't date. It's pretty special of me, wasn't it? And then Arcadia Creek follows Stadium Drive to Waldo Stadium, but it disappears because it goes underground. And occasionally, Waldo Stadium, being as low as it is, floods. A few years back, it was 1.5 feet, and one of the maintenance workers said they even saw a fish. But you can't see Arcadia Creek here because it's covered. Contrary to myth, it doesn't go under the stadium. It goes in that little green spot right there underneath by the railroad tracks. We're here at the Waldo Stadium site. Historically, there was a lot of activity along Arcadia Creek here, and you can find a lot of history about this particular place. If you look at the map from 1873 and 1880, you'll notice that the railroad track is on that map. On this site, there was a pond. The creek was diverted to go to a mill, and then on the pond was the brewery. It was John Hall's Kalamazoo Brewery.
And from here, it continues on toward downtown Kalamazoo.
So the area had plenty of indigenous people that were here before the white Europeans came, but our history typically picks up on the creek when it starts to change immensely. And the first European settler here in the area was Titus Bronson. In fact, I guess the name of the city was Bronson, but he was accused of stealing a cherry tree. There was some meetings about it, and there was a vote, and then they changed it to Kalamazoo.
But a lot of things still hold Bronson's name. Bronson Hospital, Bronson Park.
So after Waldo Stadium and all that history, the creek comes back to daylight, but then just before downtown Kalamazoo, it disappears underground for quite a while. You can see how old the walls are in the creek. And it goes under neighborhoods and roads, and it gets narrow and it gets bigger. And if you ask me, it's cool. We're not gonna take the whole thing today. And here's where it starts its journey that started almost 100 years ago when they covered the creek up. And every measure of storm drain comes in here from the streets above.
It curves. Oh my gosh, it runs under the city of Kalamazoo. It's amazing. Oops, I splashed you.
She splashed me.
Again.
And then the creek slides through the neighborhood and it comes behind the Catholic Church along this path, and then it heads that way past the diocese, kind of underneath the parking lot. Now, it used to go through all of downtown Kalamazoo and never saw the light of day, but that changed. So Arcadia Creek was canalized and it was put underground because they were having problems with it flooding the downtown area, even though the creek helped develop the downtown area because it provided power for the mills and for the city. So they canalized it for a number of years, but then in 1975, after a couple decades of flooding of downtown Kalamazoo and the collapse of Arcadia Creek in different places, the federal government declared Arcadia Creek to be a flood zone. So something had to be done about this creek that was canalized and put underground to stop flooding was actually causing flooding. So the solution for that is called daylighting. And by the time you get just past the Catholic Church, Arcadia Creek opens back up. And throughout the rest of the 70s and the 80s, there was a citizen's push to daylight Arcadia Creek. There was even a book written about it for kids and for adults alike that talk about Arcadia Creek and the fact that it used to be a happy stream, and then it turned into a sad stream, and then it was happy again when it got daylighted again. So work began around the early 90s, and then it abruptly stopped. Actually, it was 88 when they halted all the work. There's a cop following us around.
We are suspicious.
I think he's coming over. He's doing something.
Yeah, gotta fix his belt.
Here we thought he was coming to pick on him, but he's just checking on him. He just asked him a thumbs up. That's cool.
That is very cool.
And then in the mid-90s, they went full speed ahead and started the construction project to open it up to build a new canal for it, a much wider one that would accept any floodwaters that, or most of the floodwaters that might happen from torrential rains. You can see that they've made kind of a neat little park, and this is the Kalamazoo Valley Trail right here. But it's still underground in some places, like here at the parking lot. We were just on the other side of that, but you can see where it comes straight through. You can see the water level and how high it was just from our rains a couple days ago. So it does vary quite a bit. There's a fish in the stream. So we are in the heart of downtown. There's the Radisson, which is kind of the center of the city. And here, the former businesses that used to be here, I think there was like a machine shop, and they were just old school businesses, and they've been revamped into other retail space. But right there was a building. The facade was supposed to be replaced from the old building because the facade was really cool. But you can see that the canal, or the Arcadia Creek, runs right through there. And I guess they still say that they're going to replace that facade, but I don't know. But for now, it's just a bunch of steel beams. Back when Poppins and I were going to college here in the late 80s and the early 90s, Kalamazoo was a tired city. And projects like this have really brought a new life to downtown, which is kind of cool. And then Arcadia Creek comes to the pinnacle of the project, I guess, Arcadia Creek Festival Place. And the festival place is one of those venues where you're gonna have concerts and celebrations. And I think the ducks are heading this way because they think I'm gonna feed them, but I didn't bring anything. And of course, it becomes a pond here and a bit of a landscape feature. But the story doesn't end here at the festival place, because Arcadia Creek continues on.
Where does it go?
So it looks like it kind of goes that way. We'll see. We'll go try to find it. They've replaced the tracks here in the switch because they were having quite a few derailments. One night we were here a couple years ago and they had a derailment. The boxcars just tipped over. Generally, the map shows that it comes this way and kind of heads that way. We do know that the Kalamazoo River's over there, so somewhere around here, it's underground, but the creek's here somewhere. And our Arcadia Creek ends its journey here at the Kalamazoo River. From the fair city of Kalamazoo, Michigan, I'm Chuck.
And I'm Poppins.
The channel's Restless Viking. Thanks for joining us.